Aloha, thank you for being here today. If you're watching this video, that's because you are part of our first ever online Reading Across the Disciplines workshop. Welcome. This is our 4th year, or almost 5th year, of Reading Across the Disciplines. Morgan, Andaluz, and I are here today. We're the founders of Reading Across the Disciplines at Maui College, and now we're across the system. We want to thank you for being here. We know that this is a precious time for you. We promise to make this workshop worth your while, and your students and you will walk away with, you'll be happier, we believe. You'll have much more success in encouraging your students to read all of the materials and understand those materials, and your students will have more success as well with their reading comprehension. I teach English here at the college, and I'm going to leave it to Morgan.
Hi, I'm Morgan Andaluz, and I'm also with Reading Across the Disciplines, and also thank you for your time. Just a little bit about what RAD came from. Both Emma and I struggled ourselves as reading teachers in the classroom, trying to get our students to read. And so a lot of the things that we're doing are things that through trial and error came from that struggle ourselves, trying to get students actively involved in reading. And then, of course, the recognition that this is not just happening in reading classrooms, it's happening in classrooms here at UHMC and then also campuses system-wide. And so I'll let Emma talk a little bit more about the problem here.
Okay. One of the problems that we know for certain is that about 50% of the students at Maui College place into developmental reading categories. So that means that they're reading at below a college level, but yet they're expected to succeed and take college level courses. So we saw a big gap there, a need that needed to be filled. And we know that these statistics are actually the same across various campuses, sometimes even higher than those statistics. So that's a pretty big gap, that 50% of our students are coming in unprepared for college level reading, to be reading the textbooks in 100 level and above classes.
Yeah, one of the problems that we saw as a result of these issues was that increasingly faculty were talking about how they were designing PowerPoints, giving lectures to sort of fill in for that, the void of students coming to class unprepared, with that glazed look in their eyes, like, I haven't done the reading, oh no, and you know, of course the struggle that happens on the part of faculty when they realize that everything they've planned for the class isn't going to work because the students aren't prepared. They've come, you know, blank slate, and so that's one of the things that we're going to help you out with is how do you cope with that experience of students coming to class underprepared, so that you know, the real learning can happen in the classroom.
You know, one of the things that happens to all of us is, or not happens, we do this is a natural way that maybe we learned, but also the way that maybe we continue to work with assignments is we went to college and it said in the syllabus what page to read, and that's the page we read, and that's the page we came to class prepared to work with. But as we all know, we are professors, so we maybe were the ones in school that were a little more prepared and maybe had a little bit different strategy. So we might be assigning homework now, and just assigning reading as homework, something that's done at home, providing no or little instruction on actually how to read that textbook. We're just saying, okay, read this page and that's it. And it seems very natural and normal to be doing that. But when we look at studies and we look at data about how students read and how they're successful, we realize that it's not that simple. So we hope students will read it, we're assigning it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that just assigning it is enough. And we're finding there's various data about the varying numbers about this, but it's between 30 and 50% of students are reporting not having read at all for the majority of their classes when they come into class, even when they know that things are assigned. And that's a nationwide number. So this isn't something that just affects our campus. This is a nationwide issue. So a solution that that Morgan and I kind of worked on is looking at information across the country to figure out what are some of the ways that we can all get better and deal with this issue that we face. And the biggest one we saw is that these RAD techniques are techniques that people have used across the country, and we're just kind of gathering them together, and we're using each other's resources to support each other. And these are things that are going to make your readers thinking readers, your students thinking readers. They don't require a whole lot of input on your part except for the startup of them. They're more activities for your students. But the biggest theme that we found is making the invisible process of reading visible. It's something that we do on a daily basis, and we think that it's something that we just do on our own, but there's actually a lot of strategies we have where we focus on making this process much more visible, much more something that our students can learn from us as we model those activities.
So I can say that in the classes where RAD strategies have been applied, we've seen that students get higher grades. Another thing that we've seen is that faculty who are applying RAD strategies have shown an 8% increase in their retention. And I think it's very exciting to see such a big jump in numbers. Anecdotally, the feedback that we've gotten from faculty and the fact that faculty were willing to go to the extra effort of showing up today and helping us to make videos that we could share with all of you, I think it really demonstrates how people feel that RAD has really helped them. And so I don't know if you want to add anything about that, Emma.
Of course, Morgan and I could probably go on all day about how happy we are with the results that we hear from students when we survey them, and how it's these strategies being put into place by faculty have really changed the lives of these students. But we're going to jump into soon some of the strategies, but I think that the biggest thing regarding the outcomes is that a lot of them are anecdotal, although we do have some great retention data, and we do see that faculty who are applying these strategies definitely are seeing increased retention in their classrooms. The anecdotal data is very inspiring. We see students all the time who say, this is a strategy I learned in your classroom that I'm now applying to another classroom, and I think that's really what this kind of change can do, is create a system-wide sort of change for this. But something that, just a reminder, is that you're a reading expert. So you're joining faculty. I think we've had, about 80 people probably take the workshop, maybe even more than that so far. And what we've learned from everyone in every discipline, we've had faculty from culinary departments, from math, from science, is that in each discipline there is a way of reading and a way of learning that is unique to that discipline. And those are the sort of areas of expertise you can contribute to your students, but also to the people that are in this workshop, to your faculty. Not only is this an online workshop, but you can connect to the faculty and the RAD facilitator on your campus, and there'll be opportunities to do that in the future. But that you're joining a group of people who we're all here to support you, and we're all reading experts in our own ways, whether we realize it or not. And I think that you will, as you begin this workshop, realize what that area of expertise is for you.
Yeah. And so if I could see the next slide, that would be good. I'm going to talk a little bit about BRAIN, and you don't have to memorize our lovely little acronym here, but it does help to kind of make a visual reference point for some of the things that we're going to be explaining. And when you get to the workshop part of this activity, you'll be going through the different sort of modules or concepts, I guess if you want to call them the different concepts. BRAIN just stands for background, reader confidence, awareness, and in a network. And the little arrows there are intended to illustrate how each one of these concepts is not isolated. And as you're developing curriculum for your class, you'll want to really step back and think about how an activity that cultivates reader confidence probably also accesses student background knowledge, or also helps students to be perhaps more aware of their own reading process. Again, all of these things are going to be explained in detail later. But just to emphasize, you don't need to memorize these concepts, but just think about how you can access with one activity, perhaps, some of these in multiple ways, and we'll keep coming back to that.
It's a nice way to keep things organized. So this workshop, as you know, is at your own pace. It's something that you can do from the comfort of home or hopefully on the beach. But at the same time, you're not in isolation. Although it's at your own pace and there'll be people coming and going in the workshop, you always have support from your faculty facilitators and from Morgan and I. My email address is ehw@hawaii.edu. Morgan?
And my email is andaluz@hawaii.edu.
With a Z.
Yeah, Andaluz.
And you can always email us. We'll be checking in, of course, in the forums and chatting with you. So we're definitely here to help, and you have a community of people that are going to be welcoming you, and you'll see that soon. But thank you for being here. We know your time is precious, and we really commend you for caring enough about your students and the quality of your classroom to jump in on this. Thank you.
Thank you.